everyone, welcome to this month's edition of Healthy Kitchen's Healthy You Cooking Club. Today we are making a really simple dish. It's a Caesar salad with a twist, and I'll be offering you some variations as we go along. I'm Dana Bosselman. I am the Lifescape Premier Functional Dietitian, and this is my monthly cooking show. For those of you who are new to the show, welcome. And please encourage your friends to join and become a part of this community. Every month, the first Thursday at 10:30, I go live on our Brilliant Health community and share some kind of delicious, fantastic recipe that you can make and enjoy with friends well past the showing of this class. Also, I wanted to mention that we have the Healthy Kitchen's Healthy You Club, and that is for members only. It doesn't mean you have to be a Lifescape patient. You can be anywhere in the world, essentially, and join our membership. It's a really nice little group of people. We're growing as we speak, and everything in there is resources, all things kitchen and all things cooking, and it's just meant to help support you and provide you with answers to those simple questions that you're not sure that you even needed to ask. So if you're interested in learning more about that, go to Lifescape Nutrition on our website, and you'll see the pop-up asking you to join and learn more about the program. So with that being said, we're going to go back today to today's process, which is making a recipe that I was privileged to learn about last year, actually. Last February, I went to the Healthy Kitchens. No, it was this February. Time is going so fast. I went to the Healthy Kitchens event in Napa Valley, the Culinary Institute of America, with Dr. Wilder, our founder and CEO of the clinic. And we came back with a huge binder, essentially, virtual binder of recipes. So I'm featuring many of those on this cooking show. And today we're making, it's called Joyce's White Bean Salad. And somebody asked me who Joyce was. Well, I don't actually know Joyce. She's probably one of the famous chefs at the Culinary Institute of America, and this is her recipe. Traditionally, Caesar salad is made with mayonnaise, garlic, anchovies, Parmesan cheese, and of course romaine lettuce, and a couple of things here and there. Dijon, you can make it a little spicy with some cayenne, different things like that. Her Caesar salad has a twist to it, and that's something I really am going to enjoy sharing with you. So her twist is to use white beans. And what I've got here to share with you is on this side of the screen, you can see the pureed white beans. So I bought organic canned white beans. They were great northern beans. And I rinsed them, drained them, rinsed them, and then put them in the food processor and made them into a fine puree. I added a smidge of water to get this nice smooth consistency, but not too much. And then on the other side of the dish, you'll see anchovies. And this is something that I purchased at Sprouts. Everyone knows I love my Sprouts on Pinnacle Peak and Scottsdale Road. And this is the product. For those of you who are interested, I really encourage when you're buying seafood, especially if it's canned, that you go with a reputable company so you know that they're harvesting the fish and not harming the ocean. So this is one that I know is a good option, Wild Planet, and this is wild white anchovies, and it's in extra virgin olive oil. And this is just a little tin. If you like anchovies straight up, you can just open the tin and munch on it as you want. If you're not like that, like me, then this is a great recipe because anchovies are really nutrient dense. They are very high in omega-3 fats. That's the fat we're always talking about here. That's anti-inflammatory and can help lower triglyceride levels. So this is a cool way to sneak that in. And it's a little salty too, so it'll give it that salty bump. If you notice in the recipe list, if you've downloaded it in advance, you'll see that there is no salt added to this recipe unless you feel like you need a little bit moving forward. So what we're going to do is take the white beans. So this is equivalent of 2 cans that are about 15 ounces each. And actually, what I'm going to do is pause for a second. I'm going to use a blender to make the dressing, which is what we're about to do. And you don't have to, but I really intuitively felt like it would make everything much easier and blend and emulsify much better, because we're mixing hydrophobic and hydrophilic elements, meaning water loving and not water loving. And that sometimes doesn't go so well, and you have to be really firm and strong with your fork to get that to work. So before I do that though, because I don't want the beans to get stuck in the bottom of the blender, is I'm gonna put in my liquids. So the liquids on this are lemon juice. Let me just make a little space here. We're gonna do, I always do fresh squeezed lemon juice. I think this is therapeutic, you guys. It's really fun to go through and be really involved with your process. So you wash your hands well, and then you can use your hands throughout the event. Sometimes the energy that you impart by touching the food will make a huge difference in how things turn out. So I'm gonna pour in, I pre-measured 3/4 of a cup of olive oil. I'm gonna pour some of that in right now. The recipe calls for a full cup. I'm just being a little slow on that to make sure I don't over oil things. And then I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze in my lemon juice, and it calls for 1/2 cup. You guys, this is a really, really, really hard lemon to squeeze. I said I wanted to be involved, so here I am. All right, so this is where you have someone in your house with bigger hands that you ask them to come and help, which I can't do right now. So I'm just gonna make this work because I'm determined. Okay, the next thing you wanna do is, if that's not working so well, which it wasn't, I'm just gonna cut the lemon in smaller pieces so that I have better purchase. So we're looking for 1/2 cup of lemon juice, and this is a very thick skin lemon, and that may be part of what's going on here. So we'll give it a go, because this is a critical component of our dressing. Oh, much better, ta-da! So remember, cooking is about finding your way in the kitchen and knowing what works for you. And I knew that wasn't working for me. So here we go, and I'll show you the blender here in just a minute. And I'm working up to 1/2 cup of juice. You can buy the lemon juice already squeezed in the store. The reason I don't love that is, one, the fresh tastes so much better. And number two, they usually put some kind of preservative in it to keep it shelf stable for longer than we would realize. And what I find with a lot of my patients is that these preservatives that are being added to food is actually what causes a lot of gut upset and GI distress. So you wouldn't think it of like, well, it's just lemon juice, but it may have something in it that's not really working for you. So the cleaner your food, the better. The closer it is to earth, the less processed it is, the better in all ways. All right, you guys, I'm almost done with this adventure. And I thought this would go really smoothly. I didn't realize how tough my lemon was gonna be. All right, so I just squeeze it like this, and then I tip it to the side because there's some juice stuck on the around the rim of the lemon, and we don't want that to go to waste. Okay, so with that being said, now I've got some liquid at the bottom of the blender. I'm gonna add in my white beans. And you could do another bean in here if you wanted, but with Caesar salad, because it's usually mayonnaise, this is what we're replacing. We tend to want it to be that white color so that it seems more familiar and comforting, if you will. And then I'm gonna add, it calls for 1/4 cup of anchovies. The container was 4 ounces. I pureed the whole thing just because it was all available to me, but I'm really only gonna use 1/4 cup because I don't want it to become the flavor to override anything else. If we want to add some more, we have an option. It's always easier to add than take away, as you know. The next thing that we're going to add in there is some garlic. Again, you can take a shortcut on this, and you can buy garlic that's already been pre-chopped. My caveat is, just like with the lemon juice, it's usually in some kind of stabilizing liquid with preservatives added to it. One of the benefits of fresh garlic is when you cut it and let it sit for a few minutes, it releases some chemicals that make it more nutrient dense, bioavailable. So I went ahead and just pre-chopped that. And I'm gonna use my spoon one to get the rest out. You wouldn't have to cut it as finely as I did if you were planning on putting it in a blender. Just wanted to show you what that looks like. So far we've just kind of building up into what we want to see happen. And so the next thing we're going to put in there is a little bit of black pepper. And again, this is to your taste. It calls for a teaspoon. For me, that's about 4 shakes. And then again, you can always adjust it depending on how you like things to turn out. And I'm going to go ahead and just blend this right now and see how it goes. Well, actually, let's put a little cheese in there too. So this is a part that some people will feel is controversial. If you tolerate dairy, which hopefully a lot of people do that like Caesar salad, what I say to you is just get a really good quality brand. This is one that I like. It's Organic Valley Family of Farms. The cows are fed an organic diet and they're not given as many or any antibiotics, hormones, pesticides, things that get stuck in the milk and then put into our products. So this is a nice clean source, and this is more than we need, but it calls for half a cup. So I'm just going to use my chef's discretion and add what I think is about a half a cup. Now, if you don't want to use cheese because you're sensitive to it, or you're just trying to eliminate it for a while, or whatever your reasons may be, then you could substitute nutritional yeast for this, which is a vegan cheese. It's not the same yeast that people think about if you're on an anti-candida diet, for example. It's actually really popular in the vegan community, and it's rich in B vitamins, or B vitamins, I should say. So let me go ahead and give this a whirl. Sorry, it'll be loud for a second. Now we're building up speed. And then I'm going to drizzle in some cold ice water just to help the process. And I'm going to add a little more of that olive oil. Here we go, hold on. All right, you guys, thank you for bearing with me. I know that was loud. So here you can see we have a beautiful creamy dressing in minutes, not even, maybe 1 minute at the most. So this is where you can adjust the thickness by adding more liquid. And then also you can taste test it and see if you want to add a little more lemon or pepper or anything else that you would like to make it personalized. So what I've done is I've cut up some organic romaine lettuce hearts. This was a package of 3 hearts that I ended up cutting 2 of the 3 that were in there, washed and then evenly chopped these so that it's ready to go. And what I want to do is give this a try and make sure that there isn't anything else that we need to add or adjust. So while I'm thinking about this, I wanted to mention it's pretty interesting when you think of regular Caesar salad, I should say traditional Caesar salad, it's made with mayo, as I mentioned earlier. And mayo is basically egg yolks, vinegar, or some kind of acid and some kind of fat. So in and of itself, I don't really see anything wrong with that. It's more about what kind of oil and the quality of the eggs that are being used, and if you can tolerate eggs, that's another thing. So if you're buying traditional mayo and you want to use that, not use the beans, and still use this recipe, you could do that. Just look for a mayonnaise that has cage-free eggs, if possible, and that doesn't use soybean oil or corn oil or canola oil. Look for one that's using avocado oil or olive oil. So that's the workaround, which is what I'm always teaching my patients how to do that kind of thing. Is there's always other products available on the market to investigate. You just need to know what you're looking for. Interestingly, there's a plant-based mayo. It's called Just Mayo. I haven't tried it and I haven't had a chance to look at the ingredients specifically, but if those of you are wondering, well, what if I don't want the egg? There is an option out there. It's called mayo, not mayonnaise. So give that a go, or you can, of course, continue on with what we've got here. So let me just give this a quick try and see where we're at. Let me show you the consistency of this. It's pretty thick, so it's going to coat the lettuce, which is what you want for a Caesar dressing. You don't want it too runny, but we might need to make it a little less. I can tell you guys, you do not taste the anchovies in here, which is great. So there's a nice lemon. I think it needs a little bit of salt, to be honest with you. That's just my preference. Definitely doesn't need the oil. So if you make this at home, I do really recommend starting with less oil and then building up to it and see what you think about it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to shake some salt into my palm so I know how much is going in there. I think it needs a little bit more. So this is pink Himalayan salt. It's rich in minerals. And I'm also going to add just a smidge more of cold water just to make it a tiny bit thinner. This is ice cold water. And then I'm also going to add just a pinch more of cheese. Okay, I have a really fun surprise coming up for you guys. For those of you that are watching live, for those of you that are going to watch this recorded, you'll see the surprise in due time. So let's get this going just a minute. It's doing its work. Okay, voila, voila. So we are 2/3 through this recipe. And here we go. It's a little bit thinner, a little bit saltier, a little bit cheesier, a lot more yummy. So what I'm going to do is I've got our lettuce, and here I am just pouring our nice creamy dressing on top. I'm going to stop part of the way through. And using tongs, if you have them. It's like a real chef kind of way of doing things, is then just go ahead and mix everything up. So the surprise I have for you guys is the croutons. Normally we don't think of croutons as being very healthy because it's usually white bread, sourdough bread, which actually sourdough is good, but it's usually just plain white bread with a lot of butter. Now, I'm not against butter. Some people may find that surprising as a dietitian, but it depends again on the quality of the butter. So if you can get butter from cows that have been raised on pasture, then the quality of the butter is going to be better for you. Okay, so I don't like my salad super dressy, saucy. So this is actually the perfect amount for this amount of lettuce, in my opinion. So all the lettuce is coated. It's still crunchy. Of course, once you put the dressing on the salad, remember you need to pretty much eat it right away because the lettuce is going to wilt over the course of the day. So if you want to make more dressing and keep it aside and just pour it on your individual portions, that would work out great. Voila, here we go. So another thing that you could add that's not in the recipe if you wanted is a little bit of Dijon mustard. So I just wanted to show this to you as an option. So I always like you to have different workarounds. So here we are on to the croutons and your surprise. This is what I decided to do is go out on a limb here, and I purchased this bread. It's called Base Culture. That's the brand. And it's a keto-friendly bread. Now, we're not eating a keto meal, but it doesn't mean that we can't borrow from all these different dietary practices and see how it can serve us. The reason I like this bread over a gluten-free bread or even just a standardized bread is because it has really clean ingredients in it. So when I look at the ingredients, we've got water, eggs, almond butter, flaxseed, arrowroot, psyllium, almond flour, apple cider, salt, baking soda. Nothing in here is genetically modified. And there's no sugar added to it. If those of you who are trying to avoid sugar and you switch to a gluten-free diet, really be careful, because gluten-free processed food is really high, highly refined flours, and those are easily converted to sugar. And they usually add some sugar to the product just to make it more tasty and flavorful, since it's missing that elastic gluten-y process. So what I did is, here's what the bread looks like. And you guys, this is, oh my God, this is so unbelievably delicious. And I've used this bread in the past for entertaining and made crudités out of it. I had an experiment. I had regular white bread, and then I had this bread. People like this bread better. It has more flavor, really nice crunch. So what I did is I just cut everything up into small squares, put some olive oil on a skillet, heated it to medium-low heat, and then just paid attention and tossed it until I could tell that it was toasted to the right consistency and let it cool. So here's the croutons. And then what you want to do is just sprinkle the croutons on top so that it is a complete Caesar salad. And here you go. Ta-da! So this is a little twist. If you don't want to use any of the refined flour products, even if it's keto friendly or whatnot, that's also fine. You have this really cool option of toasted chickpeas. So chickpeas are garbanzo beans. If you want, you can buy them already toasted. Again, just be careful because they usually toast them with high omega-6 inflammatory oil. So it's better if you want to do the toasted chickpeas, buy some chickpeas, drain them, wipe them down with a paper towel, and just roast them in your oven or pop them on your skillet in a dry skillet till they're toasty. They're exactly like croutons. So that's the vegan alternative, or just something different for variety if you like to do something like that. All right, with that said, I'm gonna pull some plates out and see if I can get some staff members to try this creation. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, if you wanna join the Healthy Kitchens, Healthy You Club, go to LifeScape Premier Nutrition and jump in. I'd love to see you there. Can't wait to see you guys again next month. Until then, be well.